Hi, Gary Chillingworth here. Well, we're gearing up for Christmas and I really hope you enjoyed today's video. We're looking at pellets versus slugs versus bullets, but I'm going to pass you on to Mick and Gary in a minute. But I'm just here to tell you about what we're doing today. We've had a little bit, it was not an issue, yeah it was an issue. I basically deleted a load of the transitions where we were talking about what we'd actually done. So you're going to see me popping back here into the conservatory. Yes, the wife is not here. And just tell you about what we're doing. So I'm going to pass you back Mick and Gary back in the past in Penrith, and they're going to get on and talking to you about slugs, bullets and pellets, and then you're going to see me back here in a minute when we're talking about what bits they're actually doing at the time, because I'm an idiot and I deleted a whole section of files. Yes, I'm a moron. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Life at a Range here on Shooting Country TV. I'm here with Mick Garvey.
Hi.
And we're here again in beautiful Penrith. This isn't rain, this is just the tears of the people who aren't with us today.
Yep, which is a lot.
Which is a lot.
Because there's a lot.
Trust me, you'd want to be here, it's so much fun. So we are looking at basically the difference between bullets and slugs.
Yep.
Now, what is a slug apart from the thing that crawls about on the floor?
A slug is generally, a lot of them are hand swaged. We actually using the Wildman slugs.
So what does hand swaged mean?
They made it by hand.
Oh, so you got a man melting lead with a press.
No, they're not melting lead. No, they'll bite in a roll and they put it in a machine and they'll just press them out like that.
All right, so they don't melt the lead and do it in a mould?
Some do. Some
balls.
Some will do, yeah, without doubt. But generally, I think they just buy it in rolls, cut it off to shape, to size, and go some hand press.
Oh, well.
Wildman slugs now are fully automated.
Yep.
I gave them a hand installing machines, and it's just churning them out like lightning.
Yeah.
But not to the expense of the quality.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be up there Roundup when he first started, checking his slugs out, and the quality was brilliant. And I thought, when you go into mass production, you're going to lose some of that. And he was confident he weren't, and he's actually put a lot of time and effort and money into it. And the slugs that are coming out are just the same, if not better, than the ancillary ones. Right,
so you've been shooting, obviously you've been shooting 2LR for years, but you've been shooting slugs as well, because you know, obviously as a HFT shooter, I'm only used to shooting pellets, sub 12 foot-pound JSB Diablos. That's all I ever really shoot, apart from the Barracuda 8s, which I'm also enjoying. So what would be the advantage of, say, a slug over a pellet?
A slug over a pellet, well, it's used to an air gun for starters. When you're using an air gun, you can turn the power up, power down.
Yeah.
The pros and cons are wide and varied. The cost will always come into it.
Yeah.
And the main cost difference, I mean, the slugs and the ammunition, the 2LR ammunition are roughly about the same, within a few pounds, I would imagine. The guns can be miles apart.
Right.
The cheapest 2LR you can get is going to be a couple £100, perhaps 300 quid. Yeah. The most expensive air gun, you've seen them, $3-4 grand or something like that. But then again, you can get the most expensive 2LR, which is going to be the same sort of price. But then you're entering a whole different ball game. But if you're going to go down the FAC route, I've always said just get the best you can afford. Don't get something because it's cheap.
Yeah.
Get it because it's right for you and you've tried it and it works. And like I said to you earlier, Gary, it's not what it costs; it's what you get for your money. And if it means just buying something a little bit more expensive, but it's a one-time purchase, it's a no-brainer.
Now, because obviously, with the 2LR with bullets, you can get like 22 Hornet and stuff like that. But we're just talking today about the 2LR.
The long rifle, yeah.
Now you can get supersonic.
Yep.
You can get subsonic, and if you want to shoot quietly, obviously it's got to be subsonic. If you shoot a supersonic round, you're still going to get that crack, even if you're shooting with a silencer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we know that there are different types of 2LR. Yep. Are there different types of slug that you can get?
There's different weights of slug. I mean, there's different manufacturers will make them with different types of cavity in. The ones I'm using, the Wildman slugs, have got a deep hollow cavity, which is we've seen mushrooms out beautifully when it's hitting the target. Some people have a little less, more like a tubular sort of hollow in it. Also, there's a weight of the slugs. I've got various ones. I've got 55 grain, 57 grain, 53 grain,
Yeah.
all for the 30 cal, and I've got I've got the 39 grains. I think there's some 31 grains. I think there might be slugs for the 2.5. They make slugs for 177. I've got some 11 grains, some 15 grains.
So if I've got an old Daystate Airwolf, I think one of the best FAC rifles ever made, can I just go and buy slugs and put them through an Airwolf?
You might be lucky and it might work.
Right.
Generally, the slugs need a certain type of barrel and a certain type of speed.
Twist rates? Or?
Twist rates, everything.
Right.
And it's all the sort of thing that's available on modern day guns. You look at it, the main thing is the barrel. That's got to be slug friendly.
Right.
The Daystate we had today, Tony assures us it will fire slugs.
Yeah.
The FX ones, they make slug barrels, slug liners, and it's all specific for slugs. You can get barrels that do both.
Right.
But is it? You ask yourself, is it a jack of all trades when it's doing both? Would you want to just go down that one route, or do you want to go down the route where you can fire both?
Yeah.
Probably not as exact as you might do a specific slug barrel or specific pellet barrel. You've got like a compromise between them both.
So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to look at slugs versus bullets. What bullets are we using today?
Ely hollow subs.
Ely. Lovely. Well, you can't get much better than Ely.
Well, I mean, obviously
there you go.
I am biased. But I was, like I said before, I was using these before I got involved with Ely.
Yeah.
And probably one of the best things I've ever done. And these, long may this partnership continue, because like there's no other rounds grace my barrels.
And the slugs we're using today, you say Wildman?
Wildman slugs again. 39 grains in the 2.5, and we're using 57 grains in the 30 cal.
Right. Well, I think with that, let's go out and get some shooting, and hopefully you'll stay with us and we'll have a good day on the range.
Catch you later.
See you in a bit. So our first section is ballistics gel. And the whole point of shooting ballistics gel is it shows you what the wound channel is. And if you're hunting, that's exactly what you want. We shot the ballistics gel 3 times with 3 different guns. We used the initial shot, which was the 30 caliber Alpha Wolf. Then we used I think it was the FX Impact in 2.5 with the Wildman Slug. And then finally with the 2.2 long rifle bullet. And you'll see that there are very, very different reactions that the gel had to the 3 different rounds. Now, it's not the standard 10% ballistics that you'll buy from Ballistics Dummy Labs or things like that you'd get in America. This is homemade ballistics gel made with pork gelatin. And we did actually do a video on how to make it. And I think we're going to do that again because I've got slightly better at making it since we made that video. But that's something we can do in the future. So let's have a look at our first block of ballistics gel, 30 caliber Alpha Wolf, running at around about 100 foot-pounds. Now, as you can see, we were using the Rangemaster pellets and it just zipped straight through 5 kilos of ballistics gel, didn't even slow it down. We were really quite amazed. You can just see the power of the things, went straight through. But look at the size of the wound channel. That actually created quite a large cavity. So if you hit any type of small animal with that amount of power, you're going to instantly kill it. Very, very impressive. But I say, the gel didn't even look like it slowed the round down. Well, that was the slug. Also, it zipped straight through. But you can actually see that it seemed to impart more energy at the start. If you look at the very, very start of the gel, there seems to be a larger expanse of cavity. And I think that's because the round was actually moving slightly slower than the 30 caliber FAC Air. But you can actually see when it hits the gel, the thud that you actually get from it. Again, large wound channel, the round goes straight through, imparts this energy. Very impressive piece of kit. Well, here we are at the ballistics gel, and it would appear that the gel has caught the round right at the end. Wow, look at that. Let me put it down there. Look at that. That 22LR has perfectly domed over, making a larger wound channel in the animal. The 30 caliber air rifle we had zipped straight through this large blocks of ballistic gel, so obviously it was carrying a lot of power downrange, but this is an expanding round. It was designed to expand and to create massive wound damage. So look at that, the perfectly mushroomed 22LR. Amazing bit of kit. Okay. 911.7, 70.6 foot-pounds. Okay, moving forward. 849, 894. Okay, well, putting a chronograph downrange always has its risks, but we were trying to prove a point about muzzle velocity, about whether or not it carries downrange. Unfortunately, we'll never know about the Slug until we get a new chronograph and have another go. But the 22LR and the 30 caliber Rangemaster pellets were very similar power at the muzzle, very similar power downrange. And now what we're going to do is we're going to test transfer of energy. Now I know we've shot the ballistics gel and we've looked at speed, but I want to see what happens when a very fast moving projectile hits an immovable object, an HFT target. So thank you again to Richard Woods at flopover.co.uk, best targets on the market, for allowing us to destroy one of his targets. But it's very interesting to see what these rounds actually do when they meet metal. Okay, so the 2.5 slug, as you see, impacted the metal and actually lifted the target slightly up. We didn't have them bolted down, so we wanted to see how much movement there was. But again, huge transfer of energy. But now let's have a look and see what the 30 cal does. Again, very similar to the 2.5. The pellet hit, but if you actually notice, it actually looked like the pellet came back at you. Now that is because I think the 30 cal is a much larger pellet. I mean, I know it's 2.5 to 30, but the lead, because it's got a cavity back, I think hit, squashed, and then bounced back. Obviously that wouldn't happen if you were shooting an animal, but I thought there was a definite difference between the slug and the pellet. But you can see they both strike the plate, and you can see the plate lifts up ever so slightly. And it was quite a heavy plate a heavy target on a heavy block of wood. A lot of transfer of energy at 50 yards. Now let's see what the bullet does. And there you have it. It almost blew the target off the stand. It lifted a good 3 or 4 inches up in the air, and you can just see that the difference in power from the bullet to the FAC air. But that doesn't make any sense, because we've looked through the chrono and we know that the FPS of the bullet leaving the barrel and getting downrange is exactly the same as it was with the 100 foot-pound Alpha Wolf. We'll never know with the slug. But I think what it is the 22LR it's a hollow point. So it's designed to transfer all of its energy into whatever it hits. And I think that's what it did. It didn't bounce back, it just went bang, boom. All the energy into the target, and that's why the target moved. And we saw the same thing with the ballistics gel, whereas both the slug and the Rangemaster just zipped straight through, whereas the bullet stayed within the ballistics gel, departing all of its energy in a very, very short space of time. So I thought that was actually quite an interesting little test. Our next test is expansion. Now, when you want to shoot something, you have a couple of choices. You can either have something like a full metal jacket round, and that bullet is designed just to zip straight through things. Then you could have a hollow point, which they used to call years ago a dum-dum bullet, and that is designed to hit and expand within the wound cavity. Now, we're not going to shoot animals. I'm not a hunter. I've always said this. I don't hunt. It's not something I'm really that interested in doing. No issue with it. I just don't do it. So we're going to test with tins of tomatoes, and we're going to see whether or not using a 2.5 slug or a 2.2 expanding bullet, a 2.2 LR, will make a difference, and see how it reacts when it hits the metal, then the liquid, which is your, replacing whatever is inside of an animal, and then the exit, and see if there's again a difference in transfer of energy. So we're going to shoot some tins of tomatoes, and let's see how we go. The other thing we were shooting obviously was our tomatoes, and our tomatoes, the reason we picked tomatoes, and I will point out, these tomatoes are past their sell-by date. I've got a friend who works for a charity, and sometimes people give them out-of-date stuff, so he gave me these to test, and I gave him replacement tomatoes for the old people that they go to, so no complaints. This one was the 22LR. It went in at the top, it went all the way through the liquid and straight out the back. Two perfectly, it looked barely like it even slowed it down.
Absolutely. I doubt it would have.
Yeah. And then, we have the slug, which again entered in. But this one seems to have actually, now the question is that a split because the slug was coming out? Actually, it probably was actually.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
or is it expansion?
I think it's. I don't think there's enough. I don't think it's like vacuum pack, so it's like.
Yeah.
So I think it's plenty of room for expansion, and I think that has actually come up and travelled up.
Yeah. If this was water that was in here and it was absolutely packed solid, it might explode it. But it's mushy.
If you get a can of fizzy pop and try the same shot in a can of fizzy pop, and it's just spectacular.
We will obviously be taking these away because they're sharp edges and there are animals in the area. Right, so here we are. We have done slugs versus bullets. 22LR versus 25 cal?
25 cal 39 grain slugs versus 22 38 grain.
So pretty much of a muchness.
Hollow point, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Weight-wise, same.
So, I mean, let's have a look. First of all, we shot the HFT target and they both did damage. They've dished out the back here. You can feel that they've dished out there.
Yeah,
and I couldn't tell the difference between the two in sound. The only thing I did notice is the 22LR, I got splattered because I was standing a good 10-15 feet back, and when it hit I got spalling or bits of lead that were going
Did you really?
like that.
Right.
Whereas I didn't notice that with the slug. The slug just hit it and went bang, and it went down.
Flat down, yeah.
Be interesting to watch the video to actually see. I might be wrong. I actually felt that the slug imparted more energy into the metal.
It could be the slug, the cavity on the slug is deep base.
Right.
So there's quite a big cavity inside of that. Whereas I don't think the Ely subsonics are. That's just like probably straight, so we should explain.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In the ballistics gel, we managed to catch we caught a bullet. We caught a 22LR.
Yep.
We'll put a picture up, perfectly domed, whereas the slugs just zip through.
Straight through. Yeah.
Sorry, so don't seem to be as expanding.
That's right.
As much.
Yep.
But if it hit bone, I suppose that.
Absolutely. Then it's just mushroom out again and just fragment.
Yeah.
And cause maximum internal damage.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is we tested the guns for power. We know what they're doing downrange. The 22LR is 120 foot-pounds, and downrange we shot it and it was 70 foot-pounds.
70, 72, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it was time to do the slug. We had a little bit of an oopsie. I don't have a chrono anymore. Yep, straight through the lens, straight through the circuit board. It didn't come out the back though, so I'm a little bit disappointed at that. Wildman slugs. Why didn't it come out the back? It's just not acceptable.
Well, I'm just wondering what's inside that.
I know, it's depleted uranium, I think.
Oh, I wonder what it smells like.
I know, I say it'd be interesting to see. I say we can't really. I might be able to take it apart.
Yeah.
If we've got things. Tell you what I'll do, if I can take it apart, I'll put a picture up just here of all the bits. Really
just want to point out at this stage that the instructions were, and the remit was, right, we're shooting the crow, we're shooting the gel, we're shooting the tomatoes, we're shooting the chrono.
Yeah, I did tell it to shoot the chrono.
Shooting the chrono.
Just as I was told.
But it's not a problem. The great thing about the LMBR R2A is this large aperture, so you can put it down range and you can actually get pellets through, and it's very good for measuring your ballistics.
Yeah. If you can get it through there.
If you can get it through there. But if you're going to put something down range and you don't have something in front of it to protect it, things like this are going to happen. So you pays your money, you takes your choice. It's unfortunate, but it's not a problem. It's well, we've got to laugh about it, isn't it?
Maybe in the future.
Yeah. And as I said to Mick, I asked him to do it. Shoot the chrono, not a problem. Good shot.
10 out of 10.
The only thing is,
best shot of the day.
Yeah, there's no way he'd be able to do that again. If I told him to shoot the screen, he would have missed it by a mile.
Thanks for the confidence.
I think that's about it. We've caused a lot of carnage. We've done a lot of damage. Enjoyable?
Very much so. Always a good day with Gary.
Yeah.
Entertaining, to say the least.
And I think, did we learn anything?
Yeah, don't shoot the chrono.
And on that note, I think we've got to say ta-da.
All right.
Goodbye. Ta-da.
Bye.